What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Dylan Talks Tone. Welcome to the Just Gonna Say It podcast. Before we get started, I just want to say, for some reason, they started weed whacking and blowing right outside my window right now. So for the first couple minutes, we're gonna have to deal with that. I apologize. It just kind of is what it is. I really don't have any control over that. But welcome to the thing that we do every week. It's nice to see so many of you come to hang out. We got a really cool episode this week. We got an interview and hangout with KDH from the KDH YouTube channel. So we'll get to that in just a second. I want to thank all of my Patreon supporters and all of my YouTube members who support the channel and who make all the reviews possible and etc. It's really kind of a cool thing that we get to do this, and I appreciate all of your support in doing that. Make sure you also go check out Dylan Talks Tone for all of your pickup needs and etc. So it's a pretty cool little thing here. You know, y'all got me, y'all are the ones that got me curious about KDH, and I'd seen a few of his videos in the past, and I thought, you know, they made a lot of sense. But then I kind of went down a whole rabbit hole, and I learned a lot more about him. And I just reached out to him on Instagram and said, hey, do you want to come on the podcast and have a chat? So we actually recorded this last week. Some of you who are on Patreon or are YouTube members have already seen the uncut version of it. But we're going to give you the interview now, and it's pre-recorded, just so we're all clear. And I don't know, because of the time difference, if Keelan is going to be able to make it into the chat or not. So he may show up in the live chat to hang out with you, with us. I'll be in the live chat too. We're going to watch this thing, and then we'll chat about it a little bit afterwards. And I think if you're on the fence whether you think this dude is cool or not, well, I guess there's only one way to find out. So let's meet KDH. It's nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
So, and your name is Keelan, right?
Yes, no one can spell it right, so it's just KDH for,
Okay.
and no one can spell it and no one can pronounce it right. You actually did it right, but most people read it differently and then they pronounce it wrong. So I just went, okay, just KDH.
Gotcha.
That was.
So what does the KDH stand for?
It's my initials.
Oh, okay. Okay. Cool. All right. What did you do before YouTube? Or what do you do? Do you have a real job? Is this the only thing you do now? Like what's your story these days?
Before YouTube, it was school, and then I suppose high school, and then I had a couple of quote unquote real jobs. I worked in a bakery, which is horrible, and I worked in a t-shirt and merchandise printing factory, I suppose. And then I do this.
Interesting. And so is this all you do now? Have you turned it into it? Excellent.
Yeah, this is the full thing now.
Excellent.
It's better than the bakery.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. And how long have you been doing it?
4 years maybe?
Oh,
something
wow.
like that. No, it might be 5 years. It might be coming up on 5 years or 4 years. I can't really tell anymore. I'm sure I could check though. My oldest video came out 4 years ago. Yeah, okay. 4 years.
Yeah, that's cool. It's cool that in 4 years you're able to make a living at it. I don't make a living off of my because you don't have a product to sell or anything, right? So you are strictly informational. Is that kind of your...
Pretty much. I do a little bit of merch, and that's fine. But yeah, it's the primary thing is just YouTube in general.
Yeah,
I'm not selling anything. I know you do pickups, so that's probably a much bigger percentage.
Yeah. Yeah, my viewership is, we have about the same amount of subscribers, but my views per video are a lot less than yours. You have a lot higher viewership than I do. So what made you upload your first video? First of all, I'm probably making an assumption here. I would like to hear your story. Like, what inspired you to make your first video? And how has and what is your mission with your YouTube channel, and how has that evolved? Because I feel like you've gotten better at what you do too, by the way.
Well, thank you. The first video I uploaded was a guitar review, and the second was a guitar review too. It was I I suppose my generation is one that watches YouTube more than TV, or started to watch YouTube more than TV. And it was very good because if you are interested in a specific thing, like guitars, you can just have, it's a constant flow of things. But because of that, I started to kind of get like thinking, I can do this better. Because it felt like, and I still feel this way, it's a little bit too conveyor belty with bigger channels. You know, you've got the new release of this and everyone does that one, and then you got the new release of this and everyone does that one, and then you got the new, and it's just kind of on to the next one. So I started doing guitar reviews that were just a little bit different, I suppose. They're more influenced in by like tech reviews rather than just kind of sitting in the room and saying it's got a maple neck. I wanted to have maybe a little bit more close up, and I did that, and that was all right. It did pretty well from those first videos, but then continuing on with the in the vein of I was kind of annoyed at the whole thing. I thought I can do this better, and was also a little bit annoyed at certain things that I was seeing. And one of the things that I was annoyed about was the infamous Rob Chapman. And I kind of put my things that I was annoyed about in a video and uploaded it. And then, so that was that. And that one kind of took off. But that was, that was, it wasn't like, this is going to be a big video, because a big video then would have been like 50 views. So it's never, it just seemed to take off. It seemed that some people also thought the same thing, some people didn't, and then there's the debates and so on. From there, I think the next big video I think I had was like Kiesel guitars. They did a live stream. I was kind of like lambasting a customer for having a valid enough complaint. I was like, hey, that's not cool. So I made a video there. And then, funnily enough, most people would think that the biggest boost that the channel ever got was from the Chapman thing. It wasn't. It was actually from that, the Kiesel video. That's where the bulk of the subscribers came from. And again, that wasn't really this is going to be a big video, because again at that time it might be 1,000 views that might be a big video, and the big videos, metric of a big video stepped up, but there was no reason that a review wouldn't do that as well. And I think there has been it's interesting, and I understand why, and that's kind of what makes it interesting. People generally think that I just upload negative things. That's actually the biggest complaint I ever receive is, you're just negative. You just upload negative things. And I actually went through it and did I went through every single video and ranked them, and it's about 1/3 negative, 1/3 neutral, and 1/3 positive. Now it's the views are not split in 1/3. People tend to go towards the negative ones, but I give you an equal opportunity to watch a positive one. People just choose not to. And I think, like, I know why it happens, and why people think that I just upload negative things. and it's like it's human psychology. You know, it's inbuilt in your head. It's a survival thing. You're more likely, if you're a caveman, to remember where the saber-toothed tiger lives than how pretty the sunset was last week. So you're naturally more inclined to remember the negative stuff. So I get why I have that reputation, but I kind of just upload whatever I want. Is
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
So do you have I feel like okay, so maybe I'm misinformed by the algorithm because that's what happens. So let's say I watch the Chapman video and then the Kiesel video and the PV video and those videos that need to be made. Let's be honest. Those videos need to be made. But those are the ones that then show up in my feed. And so now I see 4 or 5 quote unquote negative but very necessary videos from KDH. And so therefore that's all I think that you make. But in
yeah.
reality, when I go and look at your channel, you make lots of
Yeah,
very cool
you
videos.
you could watch a review on a pickup or a pedal or an amp or a guitar, and you have the full ability to do that. Um, just most people don't.
Right.
But I have none of it's planned out either. Like I just upload whatever I have, whatever's ready to go out, whatever I want. Um, Very rarely, it's a very loose plan. I have lists of video ideas, and I start working on several, and none of them get done. And eventually, I have something, and I put it out. It might be a positive video. It might be just a neutral review. It might be a negative one,
Mm-hmm.
and it's down to the audience to choose what they want.
And sometimes, I mean, let's face it, some of this stuff is um, headline or time news driven. So if something comes out and it interests you, uh, you make it and you put it out. I never felt because some after I did my original, this came up in some. The reason you came up in something in general is every Thursday night, my wife and I do a Q&A live stream. She curates the comments because they're coming so fast. It's awesome. It's really fun. It's my favorite video of the week to do. But somebody in one of our Patreon, so we prioritize our Patreon supporters so that they can get their questions in and not get missed. And one of them asked me, do you think he's just doing this for clicks? Is this just a clickbait thing? Do you think we need do you think we need a,
Oh yeah, it was a TMZ thing. I watched that video.
yes, yes. Yeah. Do you think we need a TMZ for the guitar industry? And Leslie and I's answer was yes, obviously, because we feel differently about it. And at that point, I had an impression of you that was, he is like, he cares about what the consumer thinks and but when it really comes down to it, you're just making stuff that you're interested in.
Yeah, because I am the consumer.
Right.
So like I'm not really I guess I'm the target market for the products that are put out, and I would like to see some honesty and integrity behind those products, and that sometimes is very much the case, and sometimes it's the complete opposite.
Yeah.
And I would point out when it's the complete opposite. Not to say that I won't point out when it absolutely is the case. Just people don't watch that and they don't remember it, or at least some people do. But
Right.
that's not the reputation you get. And you said something there, and it's always funny when it shows up, because I think it's a very surface level way of thinking about it. People, another one. You're just doing it for views, or you're just doing it for clicks, or you're just doing it for whatever. Um, well, like first of all, well, you've got me on. Yes, I've uploaded a video to a public viewing platform with the intent of people to view it. But you've also got literally every other person who's ever uploaded anything. It's kind of like saying you've just released an album for listens. Well, yeah, that is part of it, but there's a lot more. And also it's not really I don't foresee it being a particularly good plan for longevity to annoy almost everybody. So if I'm just doing it for clicks, it doesn't make sense to uh Here's someone who very much has an established fan base, who probably wouldn't mind if they stomped on a puppy because they like them. And that's some people do have the cult of personality thing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and it would make far much more sense if I was just doing it for clicks, growth, so on and so forth, to say, this person is great. This is great. Because then it's like the reaction channels where it's,
Mm-hmm.
giving the opinion that they already have. I'm just reinforcing that, and therefore I'm right, you're right, we're all great, nothing's negative, and subscribe. And that works. There's plenty of people who've had great success with that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's a great way to prolong and have longevity in it. It's just not really something I'm too interested in doing. I only do the stuff that I'm interested in, and sometimes it's saying, "Hey, this shouldn't be like this. This we could have better. We should
Mm-hmm.
probably demand better. How about we do that?"
Yeah, and I think too, something I appreciate about you, I brought it up in a video a week ago, was last week, was you have grown up and live in a different culture than I do. So um what you're exposed to as far as uh, consumer protections, as far as what the market is supposed to do, as far as how products are presented to you, people don't realize that they are different. That, you know, how things are advertised to me in the United States are different than how they are advertised to you or how they are expected to be advertised to you. So as a consumer, you have a different perspective than I do. Even though I would imagine you have a fairly large viewership from the United States, but they don't know your perspective specifically.
Yeah, I think there's about 50%. I think that's the similar aspect with a lot of people. I think like it makes sense, like
Mm-hmm.
half guitar players being from the US, because that's probably where about 70% of guitar brands come from, or at least all the big ones: Fender,
Yeah.
Gibson, PRS, all of that. Um, but you'd actually be surprised. There are a decent amount of overlaps
Hmm.
in certain consumer protection laws. It's just whether it's probably a little bit more widely publicized in this part of the world. But there are certain requirements from like the FTC and certain organizations like that
Mm-hmm.
uh, that are very similar on this side of the world.
Yeah, we have the same. I mean, I have to put in the bottom of my video um, that I have affiliate links or that I could make a commission off of something, or the same kind of things that you discussed last week in your in that Anderton stuff. I just think it's interesting, and I guess truth to power is the wrong phrase, but that concept of just like, is the right thing being done? I want to know. When all those people got laid off at Fender, a friend of mine, well, I know some people that still work there and did work there and etc. and were affected by that. And I got accused of the same thing, like, and then put in Guitar Magazine and etc. Um, well, I guess they quoted me as breaking the story. Um, and really, it was just like, I just wanted to know what happened. And I wanted people to honestly know what happened and understand what the actual problem was. It wasn't necessarily for clicks. Something you said that's very interesting to me, that I think people need to also realize. I like that you view yourself as a consumer. I do the same. We have a YouTube channel. You have one. I have one. Um, but you are a consumer of guitar gear, and you take your channel very much from that perspective, and I really appreciate that.
Well, it's like the only other option is I to classify myself as a guitar YouTuber, and I'd really rather not. Uh, but that's what I am. Like I walk into the guitar shop too, and I see the products that are being advertised. Like I see all the advertisements too. I'm being advertised by the product demos and stuff. I don't tend to do them. And if I do, I avoid the whole. I did a video about it. I avoid the product release day thing, just because as a consumer, I hate that. I
Me too.
hate that YouTube is just bought out for one day, like, and I still can't wrap my head around it because, like, think about just outside of guitar, Coca-Cola. We all know what Coca-Cola is, but bet you walk out of your house or sometime this week, you'll see a billboard or an ad on the side of a bus or a bench, or you'll see it on an ad on YouTube or something. Why? Because that's the way advertising should be. You know about the product, here it is again and again and again and again, not just one day and then nothing. It's like the brands don't care about the products they're putting out. Like that's how I feel when I see that, and it's annoying as a consumer. So I voice it as a consumer.
It's the same thing. The same thing with me. On our channel, I think I take things from the perspective of, well, first of all, we have a very techie, nerdy kind of side of our channel, how to stuff, setups and guitar frets and, pickup stuff and wiring and all that. But our review side of the channel, I don't see it as, is this good or not? I don't think there's very little bad gear these days. Like, everything is pretty good. The trick is, who is it for? And I use the Spider Jam 5 as an example. I don't want it. You don't want it. But there's a person who does want it, who it's good for.
Mm.
So it's not a sucky amp, quote unquote. It's not a bad amp. It's just not for me. So when I do a review, I figure out who the product is for and who it's not for. Do you waste your time with it if you're this person? No. But if you're this person, you're really going to want this. I don't do it the normal, here's a maple fretboard, just like you said earlier.
Yeah, if you can provide, if you can provide something different, there's no point in doing the same stuff over and over again. And like you said, different products for different people. Like a Toyota is probably not going to impress the F1 driver, but that's not what it's for. And if you take, like, I see it a lot in the guitar world, a lot of people just copy each other, even in reviews, and it just, there's oversaturation in that, and there's problems, and I'd like to see something different. So, like, I'm the person who has to watch my videos the most because I have to write them, script them, edit them again, all of this. So I better enjoy what I'm watching, or else I'm just not going to do it.
Right.
So that's my concept behind it, and like I script every video is almost entirely scripted word for word.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like every single one. If are there any that aren't? Pretty much, yeah. No, in the last, yeah, couple months, all of them have been scripted word for word. Um, I script everything, so it takes a much longer time uh, to write, then record, then edit. But I I think that's the best way for me personally to do them.
Well, they come across to at least somebody who knows what's going on. I know there's going to be people in the comments all the time who are going to say, like, he's just whatever, spouting off whatever. But to somebody that knows how this works, they come across very well prepared and very well written, and very well spoken. Like, as far as, well, first of all, people from your part of the world always sound more proper than people from my part of the world anyway. But
Well, that's not always the case.
but where the way it's kind of a joke, but the way you put it into words in your video is very well spoken. It's easy to follow. But as I was watching some of these videos over the last couple of weeks, I was like, man, he must have hours and hours. Like that Lee Anderton thing, between the 2 or 3 videos that you made about that, how many hours did you have in that?
If I paid myself minimum wage, I'd be a lot richer than I am now. It's not. I don't even time them.
Yeah.
Um,
You can't.
It's no, because you do hours and hours of research, and that's just research. Finding things that, oh no, there's no point in there. Oh, that's a dead end. Oh, there's loads of that which I just throw away. Um, then it's taking what I have, scripting it in a consumable manner. Like I could just waffle about it for 3 hours straight, and I would still have more to talk about. But I have to get it down. Like that was a long video for me. I think it's like half an hour,
Mm-hmm.
20 something, 29 minutes, something like that. That was a long video. Um, but that was there was a huge amount to be condensed and worded so that it like flowed as a story. Uh, because I went from this to this and this and this, and that particular video, I think I even stated in the video, I was debating whether or not to keep the story of how hard it was to find the answer, because I could have condensed that. I could have left chunks of that out, but I kept that in because it proved a point that it was incredibly difficult to find, and even then I couldn't find the answer. I went through all these steps, and it was hidden. So I kept it in. But yeah, there's a lot of hours spent in the scripting and the storytelling and the fact checking and the wording that I can use and what I can't use, and there's a lot of time spent that I just can't even fathom how long I actually spent on them.
Yeah, you can't quantify it at all. I think it's really good, and I think it's really respectable that you do it. It's funny, and he's most of the time. So I have a real thing about doing videos with other people that make YouTube videos. So like if I'm gonna have a YouTuber on this podcast, I try to do my best to not talk about YouTube, to not, to just talk about the guitar industry, to talk about whatever. But with you, it was like one of those things where I wanted to dive into your process because when there are assumptions made about somebody that I made in the beginning, even, um, I want to know what your process is. I want to know, is this dude actually legit, or is he a clickbait whore, or what is he? No, he's not. And so normally we don't talk about all this stuff during the podcast, but I was like, I want to talk about it today because I want to know. So it was just a little aside
Yeah,
there,
like
but
the you just said clickbait, and that reminds me of just another complaint I receive, and it's only ever received from people who don't like what I'm saying. Uh, it's if they like what I'm saying, then it's not, and it seems to me that the definition of clickbait has been just kind of warped and twisted to fit whatever people click on. Like it's to my definition, and I'm pretty sure, or my interpretation, and I'm pretty sure the definition is close enough to it. It's that it's a completely, entirely different thing. It is gaining the click and delivering you something completely different. You won't believe these 6 tricks that will make you live forever, and then well, it's obviously not. That's clickbait. Whereas me saying, PV responded. Well, they did. Like, what else would you like me to refer to it as? Like,
right.
it is a definition or a description of what's happening, and but of course, if people like it, then it's fine. If people don't, they don't.
Yeah. And that's the funny thing too, is that when you look at comments, it's funny. I look at everybody who comments. I don't care if it's negative or if it's positive. I appreciate it. I appreciate the interaction. On the selfish side, let's get into the technical thing, because the more comments you get, the more YouTube shares your stuff. But also, I view it as community. I look at all these people as, if I run into you at Guitar Center, and I have, I'll have a conversation with you about what picks you use and what guitar you play and whatever. Even if you didn't like my video, I don't care if you agree with me or not. That's okay. It's not that. It's not what it's about. I'm not some sort of religious leader or something. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not looking for
Yeah, like
followers.
it's we're having a conversation. I'm presenting. Sometimes it's facts, and then mixed in with opinion. Sometimes it's just facts. But I'm presenting something. You are fully in your rights to disagree. If you were just a yes man, it would be weird. And it's just like there's parasocial relationships of I'm your best friend. Well, are you though? No, disagree with me. Like
Yeah.
have some sort of. I'd say about 50% of the comments I get are those that disagree with me. Some who are, and that's an interesting thing as well. Like I see some who'll and I've seen it go in circles. It's kind of interesting. Someone will be a big fan, right, and they'll watch and comment on a lot of videos, and then and it'll be videos about you know all the classic KDH negative videos as well as the normal ones. They'll comment on everything, and then I say something about I don't know a brand of guitar that they own, and then it all changes. Then it's like I liked your stuff, but I'm unsubscribing, and then okay, like half the time it's like not even me criticizing the guitar or the guitar they own. It's just like the company that makes that guitar is also doing this, but they take it as a personal attack. My best friend has betrayed me because I agreed with all the other stuff you said, but not that. And I've seen that happen. And then sometimes it depends on the person. Then they'll disagree with everything I've ever said after that moment. And then they'll slowly forget about why they were angry in the first place and then come back, resubscribe, and go back. I've seen that happen with multiple different accounts, and it's a bit strange because we wouldn't have had this falling out if you accepted that we're not best friends.
Yeah.
I'm just presenting this stuff. You can agree and disagree. You might agree with this video, you might disagree with the next, and that's perfectly fine. But it's not a personal attack on you, the viewer.
Right.
But that
Yeah.
it's something that I see.
Yep. No, it's interesting because I, with what we do, I'm trying to, and that's the other thing. People will say, well, you're just trying to sell something all the time, or you're shilling for a company or whatever. Well, I am. Uh, I make pickups, and if you don't buy my pickups, these lights don't stay on. I mean, this is my job. This is what we do. We have 4 people that I have to feed. It's real. This is real. So yes, we do sell stuff. Yes, we do make money. Yes, but this is my job. This is what I do. However, I find it very cool to have this community that is, I just figure we're a bunch of people playing guitar. That's all we are. And one of the things I try to tell people that watch our stuff is the only difference between me and you could probably say the same thing, is that I sat in front of a camera, hit record and hit upload 1,400 times. We are doing the same thing. All that stuff about Lee Anderton, you just Googled it. Long and the short of it, you spent a lot of time Googling it, but that was all public information stuff. Anybody could have found it out.
Do it.
Yeah. Anybody could do what you did. And so you and I are not special. We just did the work.
Yeah. And what you'll find is with information that people like, it's good, and oh, you're very talented. When it's information that people don't like, it's sometimes it's just plain shooting the messenger.
Yeah.
But it's interesting as well on YouTube because there's a face to the information that you're getting, and you don't like this information. If that same exact information is reported on by Guitar World or Total Guitar or Guitar.com or whatever it is, they don't get any "how dare you, Guitar.com, you're just doing it for clicks." They don't get any of that.
Mm-mm.
Because they're seen as, I don't know, a trusted source of information. But like in the last month, I think they've written like 6 articles based off my videos, or 7 or 8. No, like it's multiple now, just in the last month. But they're the trusted source of information, and they don't get any flack for showing the information that they've found or sourced or whatever. But if you're a YouTuber and do it, then it's a personal. It's you did it,
Right.
um, and it's a bit strange, but just something I've noticed recently.
Yeah. Wow. That's yeah, for that to happen to you specifically that many times in that short amount of time. No, that's I just think it's cool to talk about other stuff. I like I said, I don't spend a lot of time behind the scenes with people very much, but with what you do specifically, um I don't know. I watched your stuff and I was like, I like this guy because I like the honest you're a consumer. You said it. I can't say it better than that. You know, you're just a consumer of guitar stuff and you still view yourself that way. And I do the same thing too. Um, Even with stuff that people send me. So if I get a free guitar, which doesn't happen very often because I don't say nice things about everyone. PRS sent me a couple guitars and I said a couple things and they haven't sent me one since. So whatever, you know. But I don't care because I like what I like. And so even on that stuff, I'm still, yeah, they sent me the guitar, but it's still my first time seeing it. It's still my first time playing it. I still have to look at the quality of it. And if it sucks, it sucks. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
It's something like for me when I get sent a guitar, I don't accept money to do any gear review video or demo video or any. I don't get paid to do them. I could if I wanted to, but I don't want to because I think that then it gives you an actual incentive to be like, oh yeah, this is great. Wink, it's not. But the complaint, I fully disclose that I get the guitar for free, and I also, if there is an affiliate link, I will say, oh yeah, there is an affiliate link, and there's no incentive for me to hide that because, well, if it's an affiliate link, I'd prefer for you to click it and know that it's
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
But I see a complaint of, well, you received the guitar for free, therefore you have an incentive to lie. And my response to that would be, well, if my only payment is the guitar, and the guitar is not good, then uh, why would I say that it is? Because my payment is a guitar that isn't good. There is no incentive. Um, but as you said earlier, it's hard to get bad guitars
Mm-hmm.
now. Um, and the most you'll see normally is like, oh, there's a pointy fret, somewhere along the neck, and well, we could file that, and it's probably something to do with the humidity change from where it's shipped and whatever. Um, Most guitars are pretty good. Uh, Very rarely are they like really, really just bad guitars. Um, I only ever had one really bad guitar, like really, really bad to the point that it was unplayable, and I made a video on it. Um,
What was it?
oh, it was a Harley Benton. Um,
This is where I wanted to take this next. So keep going.
or okay, right. So this was a big thing. I had like my friend was doing a bunch of videos with me. Said, okay, um, to say thank you for all the videos, I'm gonna get you a guitar. We'll do a video, and we'll also do the first Harley Benton guitar, and we'll buy it. We'll do a review on it, and that'll be that. So the first video was just us going through it, all the Harley Bentons in our budget, selecting that one. That's the one you want. Great. It arrived, and I plugged it in, and it like the pickups were microphonic completely, feedbacked horrendously. Like even if you moved, you could speak into them. You could, if you rubbed the body with your finger, you'd hear it. It was just two microphones built into the body. It's like, okay, it's a little disappointing. Did the video saying, here's the guitar. It's a shame. Not to worry though. I'll just get a replacement, and I'll just track how that works. And I contacted the customer support, and they said, okay, can you send us a video? I sent them a video, and I got a message back saying, our experts have determined that that's how it should be.
Oh my
No,
goodness.
no, it isn't. Like this was so bad. It was ear-piercingly bad. And I didn't. I then put out a video. I was a little bit annoyed at that because I was going. I know that this is not how it should be. If you this guitar it's a Harley Benton, it's a cheap one. You do sell it in like bundle packs with a combo amp and a cable. Like you are selling this to beginners too. If they plug it in and it does that, and you tell them that this is how it should be, when it absolutely isn't how it should be, you're just ripping off beginners. So I put that video out, quite annoyed at that, and it did quite well on. I think it got 200 and something thousand views on it. So I was contacted. I don't think I've not publicly told this story. I was contacted by Harley Benton themselves, who apologized and said they'd give me a free replacement or a free guitar. Which I said, thanks for the offer, but no, thank you. And the reason for that was that it felt, at least to me, that would be here's the guitar because a video showing that the guitar wasn't good. Like, it's the YouTuber perk rather than the customer perk. Correct. And I didn't buy it as a YouTuber, I bought it as a customer. So I don't want that. Thanks, though. And then I got contacted by the head of Thoman's like product development team, something like that. And at first they were saying, because I shipped the guitar back for a refund because I just wanted a replacement and it would have been all fine. They said no. I said fine, give me a replacement because I was legally obligated to get a replacement. That's the laws here. You've got 30 days or whatever. So I got the refund and they sent it back. And I got a call to say they got it back and they couldn't find any problem with it. That's very strange. So they sent a video, and it was, they had the guitar and they had it plugged into like a small practice amp, like at their QC testing thing, and they turned it up and it wasn't squealing, and it would only squeal when they turned the gain up to 10, and they turned everything like max to 10 and were like hitting it. So they couldn't find the problem. So then I did another video specifically for them, like just privately to send to them, saying this is my amp settings, this is what I did. The gain was on like 1 o'clock or something like that. It wasn't loud either. It was bedroom levels of volume. And then eventually they spent a couple of weeks on it and found that there was something loose in the pickup and it was squealing and everything. Which again, credit to them. They spent a couple of weeks trying to find the problem, and then they sent the pickup back to the manufacturer of the pickup, and they took it apart and everything. So that's fine. That's good. It's just the hi, I've got a problem. Here is a demonstration of the problem, which is absolutely a real problem, and the response is, no, that's how it should be. Wow. If I was a beginner, I'd go, oh yeah, well, the expert said that's how it should be. It's an unusable guitar. I can't even play at bedroom levels, let alone gigging levels with it, but that's how it should be, and that's what really annoyed me.
So have you done any Harley Benton videos at all other than those?
No.
Me either. So I've never reviewed a Harley Benton. I've never bought one. And I'm pretty vocal about this on our channel, and boy, if I say the words Harley Benton, the comment section just erupt. Who is more loyal, Harley Benton consumers or Kiesel consumers? I'm not sure, but it could be 50-50. They are very rabid fans of these guitars, and my point is the same thing as yours. If we're trying to spread guitar playing throughout the world, I want to give them something that I would not buy my kid that, because they'll hate it and they'll never want to play guitar again.
Well, like,
among
to be fair,
many other reasons.
to be fair, the guitar itself played fine. As long as I didn't plug it in, it was a perfectly adequate instrument. It was just the second I plugged it in, it was just complete. Just get rid of it. So like, I can understand why, if you get a good guitar, a good example of a good piece of equipment from them, then that's perfectly fine. But just, don't that doesn't dismiss someone who gets something that isn't perfectly fine.
Right.
And I think that sometimes that shows up. Well, my experience was positive, therefore yours is discontinued because I got the look of the draw. With that said, I've got a couple of Harley Benton like pedal power supplies that I think are very good. I think they're
Mm.
good value for money, and they function just fine. I haven't had any problems with them. I even said that in the video about the guitar. But at the same time, I'd like to see. I didn't even have a one of the big comments and things on that guitar was from guitar players who were experienced, who were saying, "Oh well, that's easy. You just replace the pickups." And you're going, "That's we're talking about someone who might not even know how to change the strings. What are you talking about? I have
Mm-hmm.
to now buy pickups and a soldering iron if I'm a beginner to get a guitar that functions? No,
Mm-hmm.
that's not my. I'm not demanding anything special. I'm demanding to get what I paid for, which was a guitar that works." And
But see, this is where you're getting the market wrong, because beginners don't buy Harley Benton guitars. The people that buy Harley Benton guitars, the ones that are rabid in the comments, are the ones that, instead of having a Les Paul, have 45 Harley Bentons hanging all over their walls for Instagram and such, and sires and all these other various things that are all modded and look cool in pictures on Instagram, uh, and are just as good as a guitar that is more expensive than them. Those are the folks that spend the most time in the comments, at least on my videos.
I think there is something to be said to that viewpoint, though. Like I've played sires, and they're all like all the ones that I've played have been nothing but good.
Really?
Um, yeah, like I haven't seen any problems with them. Um, but that's again just because I'm getting positive experiences with them doesn't mean someone else hasn't got a negative one, and it
Right.
doesn't mean that that experience isn't valid. Uh, it's I can present that I've had a good experience, and you can present that you've had a bad experience, and then it's giving the customer a more, or potential customer, a more level playing field of what to
Mm-hmm.
expect.
Yep.
And you know, cheaper guitars are getting better. There's no doubt about that. Like
Yep.
if you compare a budget guitar from the 1980s to a budget guitar now, there is a big difference.
Yeah.
Um, all it really needs to do is hold tune and sound okay, and then it's doing the core principles of what a guitar is supposed to be. I think now we get more picky, and that's a good thing because we're just constantly upping the levels.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I don't want jagged frets, so I'm upping the level to it needs to not have that.
Right.
But if 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 we compare, things are getting better for everyone.
Yeah. And to be honest, I make my living selling upgrade parts. That's what I do. So cheap guitars are cool. I just have, I think I'm probably a bit in the same camp as you, as I just want the company to be reputable and I want them to do what they say they're going to do. So that is one of the reasons why, it's one of the reasons why I pretty much stick with recommending the bigger legacy companies to beginners for a couple of reasons. One is because you can get a great Squire guitar for $200. You can get a great Epiphone for $400. Um, and then you're in the ecosystem of that company also. So when you buy your nephew a guitar, or your son or your daughter or whoever, um, they see something that looks like something they saw on YouTube. They see that's a Fender. It might be a Squire, but I saw my hero playing a guitar like that. And because I really have a thing about community, and I really have a thing about making it bigger, and we want more people to play guitar, and we want people to be part of this. So I don't, that's why I personally push people more towards those legacy brands, not because I think the bigger brands are better, but I just think that, yeah, if I, I bought my daughter one of those little baby Martins. It's not even that amazing of a guitar, but she knows what a Martin is, you know?
Yeah, and there's brand recognition. It's a double-edged sword, I suppose,
Yeah.
because on the one hand, it will make you feel like, well, if you have the cheapest Gibson possible, it'll still make you feel like you're playing the most expensive for a short amount of time. But if at the same time, it's diminishing returns, and it's very clear to see that the
Mm-hmm.
cheapest Gibson is still more expensive, and it's got the least specs, and it's completely stripped down. It's kind of just a lump of mahogany.
Yeah.
Um, and you can get a lot better spec wise from brands that aren't as popular, aren't as well known, aren't as big. But it's a dangerous game as well if you're just starting out, because then which brand should I go for? Which is the better spec?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of factors in it, especially for a beginner.
Yeah.
Just getting into it.
And I think that's where I think the whole objective way of doing YouTube reviews is more important, honestly, because you're not just doing the latest, most popular thing that came out this week or is going to come out tomorrow, and the video can't come out until 10 a.m. Like that is the worst way to help someone like that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and to it's a bit cliche, but with great power comes great responsibility. I did a video where it was a guitar demo review. I really liked it, and I'm still playing it. And I got a message from them and said, "Oh, you sold 15 through the affiliate link." What? 15 people bought guitars? That's insane.
Yeah.
And then it's like I take that as a heavy weight to bear on my shoulders. I was like, okay, what I say, people base big decisions off what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have no regrets, obviously, because the guitar was really good, and I said as much. But it's like, it makes it real that if my videos, which are definitely not the biggest, and they're not even gear videos for the most part, most of my audience are not there for gear, has such a big sway on people, then the people who actually like are actively making gear video every single day, pumping out 3 different new product releases a week. I can't even fathom how many guitars and pedals and amps that they're selling through that. And it's like that there's a lot of responsibility there.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be honest and say this guitar is good, because people are going to buy it if you say that it's good. If it's not good, you can't say that.
Right.
So I take that whole thing very seriously. People believe you, and you have to honor that trust that they have with you. Well, at least I think so. Anyway.
I feel very strongly the same way. I feel like if I run into anyone on the street that watches what I do and they say, first of all, if they bought one of my products, that's like they physically have my name on them. So, like that's really important to me. But for all the other things, if they say I bought this guitar and you said it was awesome and it sucked, I mean, I would not want to stand on the street and have that conversation with you and look you in the eye and find out that happened to you because I told you to do it. I'm a human being that cares about that stuff. Yeah, I want to be honest and as accurate as I possibly can, even on the technical stuff. So when we do things like, this is how this pickup works and the magnetic field and blah, 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 blah. I might not be 100% right about everything all the time because there are so many details and you can't put every detail in every video. So people will say you're wrong because you omitted something or whatever. But we really try to be accurate because I know that people are basing. I don't consider myself an expert, but on the other side of the camera, people do. So you want to be as honest and accurate as possible through. It's
But
like
yeah,
not even my fault, but I want to be.
or like as you said, ev- ev- you might not be an expert, but everyone thinks you are because you're on YouTube. Everybody on YouTube is self-appointed, and I think the audience kind of forgets that. It's who put you in charge to say this? Well, you could do it too. Anyone could.
Exactly.
The entire thing. There's no requirements. I think the only requirement is a Gmail account. That's
Right.
about it. So if you have one of those, you're equally as qualified as either of us to do any of the things that we do. Uh,
Exactly.
but it's
It is a weird world
the
to be a
guitar
part of.
world specifically is so strange. It's uh, it's an unusual one because I don't think the same behaviors are mirrored in other like degrees. I don't like. Is there a bass form of YouTube where it's like this, or a drum world of YouTube where there's as many product releases and there's all sorts of stuff? I don't think there is. I think it's
So I'm part of other hobbies. And so we get in this conversation all the time with people in the comments and stuff. Very interesting thing, like in our off-topic hour on YouTube that we have every week. And so one of the things, and this is probably going to be sort of foreign to you because I'm from America. So, but I collect knives, and I collect pistols. I collect firearms, and for no reason, I'm not like weird about it or anything. I just think they're cool. I think they're interesting machines. That's anything that's engineered piece of equipment to me is interesting. I could take apart a pencil sharpener and find it fascinating and how it was designed and etc. I just so firearms are really interesting to me. The science and everything goes into them. Um, so for example, firearms have their product embargo dates, and they have a new pistol comes out and there's a bajillion YouTube videos about it on the same day. So they all have that same stuff. What's interesting to me about guitars that other industries don't have, and I'm also an extreme gearhead, like I guess they call them petrol heads over there. Like I'm an extreme gear. I love cars and motorcycles. More, I like guitars this much. I like things with motors in them this much. Like
oh okay.
no comparison whatsoever. Guitars are cool. Things that make you go, way cooler. Um, and so in the guitar industry, so in the car industry, nobody says that a Model T or a Daimler Benz from 1903 is better than a 2023 Audi whatever or Lamborghini or Porsche or whatever. A Porsche 911 is an excellent example. It has the heritage of a 356 from the 50s, but they are in no way the same, and nobody says that a Porsche 356 that was commissioned by Adolf Hitler is better than a new one. But for some reason in guitar land, it's completely flipped, and the guitar industry is the only one that's like that. It just drives
Yeah,
me
that's a great point. The whole a 1959 Les Paul is better than any guitar ever made. Why? Because an old guy played it once. Like that's the justification for it as well. Because like a 1959 or a 1960 was the last year of the Les Paul before it was discontinued. No one wanted them. They were too
nope.
heavy at the time. It was just that's why like bands like Leonard Skinner had them. They were
Yep.
broke.
Yes.
That was the sell off those old stock guitars. The finishes in the 1959s weren't applied correctly, so they faded all. Like there's guitars that have like the price tag imprinted in the finish
Yep.
where they sat in the window from 1959. Um, like it's objectively a very flawed instrument, no matter which one you get.
Yep.
Uh, but we glorify it because it's was played or a type of guitar was played by someone. I think it goes back to what you were saying about brands as well, though, because it's
Hmm.
the uh the brand recognition of if I've got my cheapest Gibson, I'm just like Jimmy Page,
Right.
or I am Slash,
Yeah.
and it's the same concept there, just with a lot more money involved.
My video coming out today that I was working on this morning, finishing up this morning, is it's coming out later this afternoon. Is 3 amps, 3 digital amps, 4 tube knobs. Um, because okay, so it's clickbaity, but I do talk about the things in the video. Um, for the same reason, people just get attached to a particular type of technology and then think that that technology can never be bettered. That's a very interesting thing to me that guitar players do that nobody else does. That
Yeah, like if you look at amps, I suppose, yeah, you're right because like what there's like three industries where tubes even matter: guitar amps, hi-fi radios, and Soviet era military equipment. That's about it.
yeah,
Everywhere else, even bassists have left
yeah,
tubes for the most part,
yep,
solid state. And when you look back and think, like that's another thing, 100 watt amps. No one needs a 100 watt
no,
amp. Like if you want clean at that volume, well, you're never going to get to that volume because you're going to have it mic'd up in a PA. Uh, it, uh, but if you have, and also if you want to improve volume, you could do like speaker efficiency.
yep,
Uh, but like if you say that to someone, they'll get because they're emotionally attached to
mm-hmm,
whatever they've got. I suppose that's in everything, but like, because if you've spent money on things, like think about that's however many hours I worked doing something that I hated doing. So there's very much an investment that's emotionally attached to it. But at the same time, you could you could better understand how things work and how things could be better.
yeah,
But a lot of people don't want to do that because it affects it's the emotional part.
yep,
I'm attached to this product. I invested my money, which was investing my time into this. If you tell me it's not the best, it's going to hurt me personally.
yeah. So my
And there's
video,
no objective look. Yeah.
right. So my video is coming out this afternoon. Will be out by the time everybody sees this. So I'll just tell you, we look at the Princeton Tone Master, the what is this thing? The Black Star St. James and a Tonex. It's three really different ways to bring somebody into the digital side of, because the St. James is a tube amp, but it has a digital back end.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you know what the Tonex is, as well as the Princeton Tone Master. And my thing is this: our use cases are changing with guitar stuff. So I'm waiting on a house right now, and I'm living in an apartment. Well, I can't play anything. Like I can't put this amp on two. The upstairs neighbor will hear it. I can't play anything. I have to have. And then over here, I don't know how it is over there, but over here there's a lot of venues that are going silent stage to keep the noise level down because of the neighborhood that they're in or whatever. So, you know, you'll have Kempers and Helix and Axe Effects and stuff, but you won't have big stacks of Marshalls anymore because, so if you're a gigging musician or if you're somebody who lives like I do, um, which is a lot of people, then you can't play loud and everybody's going to say, well, but it feels different and but if you can't, you need to come up with something else to fit your new use case in 2023. Not to mention, this is something that kind of blows people's minds to think about, but okay, so my daughter is 23 years old. When she was born, By the time she's 8 years old and gets her first electronic device, it's a touchscreen. So she is an adult now who doesn't know life without a touchscreen. And I don't know how old you are, but you're probably not far beyond that. You didn't live in a world where all we had was rotary phones and tube amps. So there's going to be a larger and larger and larger audience of people who don't care because
Yeah.
you know technology. All you know is
And,
technology.
and and it's also more than just like if we're talking audiences, like I don't know how many guitar players are in my audiences like when I'm playing at a live show, but it's probably like two compared to all the rest. So I'm not really trying to impress them with
Yeah.
the gear because like
Yeah.
the rest don't care. As long as it sounds all right, you can get away with it.
Yep.
And like another thing that I see for tube amps is like, well, you can't repair a Helix or something like that,
Yeah.
and you can repair a tube amp. And sure, you know, Helix is a computer. There's going to be outdated parts. There's going to be there's less people who know how to do it. But I don't know what it's like in the States. It's probably different because there's just more people. But here, um, there really aren't people who know how to service tube amps anymore.
Mm.
Like there was one guy. We're talking for a whole country, which I suppose is like it's the equivalent of like a state, but completely surrounded by ocean. One country that had one guy who was the guy who people sent amps to service. He's retired now. There was talk, well, who do we send the amps to now? Oh, well, there's this guy who's learning. Well, the Ireland's guitar players are kind of depending on one guy to repair tube amps. And that's it. Because, as I said, like that's a technology that's used by three industries, and probably guitar is the biggest. Um, it's not. It's about as repairable as your Helix, if not less, because the Helix is like a computer. You know, you can open it up. Oh, that chip is burnt out. We can replace the chip. There's a
Yeah.
guy who works on iPhones that does the same thing, and there's like 500 of those guys.
Yeah.
So it's actually probably getting nearer and nearer to being the complete opposite.
And not to
Um,
mention, if your Helix goes bad and you have to send it to the service center, it goes in a box and it posts for $20 to get it there. You know,
yeah,
where your tube amp, you know, if you have a JTM 45, you're not shipping that thing halfway around the world to get it fixed. It just doesn't, it's not cost effective anymore.
yeah, and then like factoring in live shows, gigging, um, touring more so. There's the weight of having to lift, you know, a full stack. When was the last time you saw a Marshall stack live? Uh, Maybe one of the bigger bands, but it's you don't see it
Well, it's because they
rarely.
don't have to do it.
Well, yeah, like, and the ones that you do see, half of them are fake. They're empty because that's lighter.
Yeah.
And that's fuel efficiency. That's all of this stuff, and it's kind of an interesting topic that in itself. You know, fake amplifiers, and some people say that's cheating. Well, is it?
It's a show. You're
It's
contributing to the showmanship of the show.
well, yeah, but and also it's cheating. But if you had all of them being real, like if Yngwie Malmsteen was really using a stage full, I can guarantee the tickets would be a little bit more expensive for the fuel efficiency on those the trucks that have to carry fully loaded whatever plexi heads that he's got. It's I think about every band uses fake amps. It's just it's kept a secret because everybody knows it, but they'd rather keep their head in the sand.
Yep. Yep.
Like Brian May has a triangle like Vox AC30s. He's using three, but
Right.
no, I'll pretend that he's using them all because it's rock and roll.
I was going to ask you actually, now that we're talking about this, is there where you live um, power concerns as far as like cost of power, efficiency of appliances, that sort of stuff. I know in the EU, one of the things that has come up is like tube amp. I have a friend who lives in the EU. Actually, he's a Patreon supporter who lives in the EU who says that he really can only play his guitar through his amp a couple hours a day. Otherwise, he kind of can't afford to run it because of um, the way they tax or bill or whatever low efficiency items. Has that affected you at all?
No. Like, I mean, power costs have gone up for everyone everywhere, I think, but
Yeah.
uh, different countries in the EU have different rules, regulations. I don't believe like lower efficiency stuff. It's just going to use more electricity,
Yep.
but you're not going to be billed on that particular unit because it's lower efficiency. It's just you're using this much. Here's the bill for that much. Um, but if you're using a 100-watt amp and you're plugging it in to rock out on zero point 0.5 on the volume, you're still using way more power than you would be if you were plugging in a 15-watt head.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so just efficiency wise, and like valves aren't efficient to begin with. There's so much heat
Yep.
dispersal from them, and the voltage is also so high. Like like we
For
we have different voltages. We're 220, you're 110.
mm-hmm.
Um, but like the amplifiers that they step up that voltage, it doesn't matter what it is, to
Mm-hmm.
the voltages that'll just kill you on the spot. So I don't think a Helix will do that, or a Kemper, or a Axifex. There's a whole bunch of reasons why they're good. The only reason that I can say why I don't like, I have a Helix, and I use it all the time. It's the best for YouTube creation because you can just plug in any time of the day. Um, but at the same time, gigging, um, I need stage volume. Have to have it because it's genre specific. But if you're playing in a rock band, you've got an acoustic drum kit. Uh, all the people in the first two rows are just going to be hearing psh, psh, psh,
Yep.
psh, and that's it. So you have to have stage volume in those cases. It doesn't have to be really loud. You just really have to match the drummer.
Yep.
Um, but in my case, you have to have it, and you can do that with a 1x12. You could do it with a combo. Have done it plenty of times. Um, it doesn't have to be a stack. It can be a small little thing. Um, but that's my only. I feel for me personally, I like a good mix. A little bit of analog. I need some volume. I don't even mind if it's solid state, but I want some volume, and I see no reason to diss modelers that also come with like every effect you could possibly
Yeah.
want. So I like the best of both worlds, but again, guitar players and their emotional. I invested lots into my Marshall stack. Yeah, it breaks my back wherever I bring it, and I can't put it up past two even when playing live. But I spent a lot of money on it, so if you're saying that it wasn't the best financial decision, you're wrong, and it's a personal attack on me.
Yeah. That's so funny. Well, that is the life that we both have. That's what we do. That's okay. I would rather be doing this. You don't want to be a baker, and I don't want to sell insurance. So, I guess we will continue to do what we do. Oh man. Dude, this has been fun. I really appreciate you taking the time. I don't want to take too much more of your time, but I really appreciate you taking the time to hang out and get to know you a little bit. Hopefully we can
Yeah.
maybe our paths will cross again, or we could do something else together, whatever. I'm open to anything because this is what I do. So if you have any
All
ideas,
right.
let me know.
Okay. Well, thank you for inviting me to have a chat. I enjoyed it. We got to talk a little bit of just the interesting side of YouTube and guitar world land
Yeah.
that a lot of people don't really talk about too often. So it's always an interesting one.
No, Well, there you go. What do you think? Super fun. It was a cool conversation that we had. I really appreciate Keelan taking the time to chat with us, chat with me, and yeah, I really, really dig it a lot. He's a really cool dude. I hope to see more from his stuff. A couple of takeaways from this thing I think are really interesting. That a lot of I'm just gonna say it. This is gonna be my just gonna say it moment. But a lot of the problem with YouTube is the viewer. It's not the people making the videos. And I know that somebody's gonna be like, "You're gonna turn viewers away." I don't care. We're all just human beings, and I think that what happens is viewers on YouTube don't. They take the human being away from from me, from the person who's making the video. And so I'm just another person, you know. When I pull a guitar out of a box, whether it's been sent to me for free or not, I am reacting like a human being. Like, this is what I do. If you don't trust what I do, don't watch what I do. If you don't like what I do, go watch a different channel. I don't care. But all I know is that I feel that the KDH channel, I feel like, is pretty genuine dude. And I know that I'm trying to be a pretty genuine dude about the kind of content that we make. So it's just a really cool thing. And it's neat to hear somebody else who's had to go through some of the same stuff that I've gone through. And why? Because of just trying to be honest about this stuff in a world where people assume that everyone is not honest about it. And it's a really cool thing. It's a really cool, it was inspiring to talk to him. Really nice guy. We chatted a little bit too, not during the podcast thing, or, you know, not during the recorded part. But I really appreciated his time. And anyway, so there you go. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. I know we've gone a little bit longer than an hour, and actually I am running late because of it. We usually go for an hour on Tuesdays. Thanks for the couple of super chats that we sent during there. I appreciate that. Thanks to everybody who uses the super thanks button when they watch these afterwards. Thanks to all of our Patreon supporters who make all these videos possible, as well as everybody who supports Dylan Talks Tone and buys pickups and stuff. And I guess we will see you Thursday night on our live stream.